William and Jamie Lucas, 2552 is the case number. I have the packet. Can I have you there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you were stating earlier that you didn't think Mr. Nelson was given notice of today's date.
No, I got all the papers gathered up and I delivered them to Thurston County sheriffs to have them serve him. And I called about 3 different times last week and they hadn't done it. And the last time I called was Friday evening, just before they closed. And they said that they were going to try to do it over the weekend. But they only had one officer that does it. And I'm nervous to have somebody, I'm nervous of his reaction. So I thought it would be best to have an officer do it to avoid any issues for anybody else. I didn't want to put anybody else in a situation. But now I'm beginning to think that they're just so overloaded that maybe I need to have somebody else. But I'm also worried. All right,
so that tells me what you want to do, that you want to have another court date so you can attempt service, and then we'll talk about this more. So you can hire a business to do this. You can have a family friend, somebody else do it, but that person has to file with the court a legal document under penalty of perjury that shows what they served, when they served it, how they served it, so that the court can see if Mr. Nelson doesn't appear that he had legal notice to a legal standard. So you decide how you're going to do that. But we'll set a new court date. We can send this out. No, where are we now? Okay. But we're going to start setting this week to that week.
Well,
okay. Yes. Let's set to how's the 31st of March look?
Are you asking me?
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Lucas, what? March 31st,
yeah, I mean,
9 o'clock.
That'll work. Whatever works for you.
That gives you some real time to get this done. So March 31st.
He lives right across the street, so it shouldn't be too difficult. I just was nervous. The judge didn't grant the temporary up until court. And so I am nervous of the repercussions.
Well, you've got until March 31st. That's our next court date. Work on service, and we'll be back then 9 o'clock. Or do we have people in here?
Do it, then I'll do it.
I love them in
okay, 9 o'clock, and that's it. So the service packet, we're going to email it again. We'll email that service packet again to the address, the email address that you gave the court.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That's it for today.
All right. Bye-bye.
Adam. Yeah, William Lucas, and then I'm waiting for Jamie Lucas. So Jamie Lucas, need you to unmute, start your camera. All right, and unmute. There you go. All right, so we're taking up case 2552. The Lucases have asked for a restraining order against you, Mr. Nelson. And I see that you were served notice of this on the 25th of March, which was just last week. And that was Tuesday. And are you, Mr. Nelson, are you prepared for this hearing today?
I think so. My friend Tom, who's a retired magistrate, told me to just make my statement. It's brief, and then answer your questions.
Okay, if you're ready, that's what I want to know. So first off, Mr. Nelson, I'm going to put you under oath. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, and then I'm going to turn to William Lucas. Raise your right hand, Mr. Lucas. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, and Jamie Lucas, raising your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, so an order has not been issued as yet. The court has had a chance to review all the information that was filed, and you'll all notice that I'm looking to another screen. I am listening. I'm looking at my file, which is electronic, but let me get that opened, and then I'll start our hearing. I'll hear from the Lucases first, and then I'll hear from you, Mr. Nelson, and then I'll make a decision based on RCW that under the law here, that see if there is unlawful harassment committed such that the court could or should issue an order, or if not. And that's really the bottom line. So give me a moment first to get my documents open. just refamiliarizing myself with what I reviewed in preparation for court, since there are a lot of cases I prepared. So I'll hear in turn, first off, Mr. William Lucas, since you're just listed first. I've looked at the petition that was filed. I've looked at the exhibits that were filed, the note from apparently a neighbor, and then 2 pictures. Mr. William Lucas, anything more you want to say on the matter as to why the court should issue this order against Mr. Nelson?
All I know is that currently I am attending drug court. I have been since last May. And we had a close call with me and Albert, Mr. Nelson, coming to a fight in my driveway. And I have too much to lose. You know, one little mistake of a fight and the police showing up could really jeopardize everything that I have going on with the drug court program. And I don't
go ahead.
I don't want to risk what, you know, I have a lot of time hanging over my head, and just one little thing happening with the police could jeopardize all that. So
are you referring to what's in this petition at paragraph 17 that, let's see, you're asserting that Mr. Nelson jumped into your truck, demanded to be taken to the store to buy tobacco. He then refused to get out of your truck and tried to get you to fight him. Is that what you're referring to?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So when did that happen?
I do not remember the exact day. It's been a couple of months.
So January?
It would have been towards the end of January, maybe the beginning of February.
Okay, so this year. And can you more particularly describe that when you say tried to get you in to fight him? What does that mean? Why do you believe that?
I just felt like it almost came to the point where I would have had to drag him out of my truck to get him out of my truck. When I was in a hurry, I was trying to go to work, and he just, I don't understand.
What did he say? What did he say to you? What did you say to him? Tell me what happened.
I don't remember the exact words, Your Honor, and I don't want to try and quoting things from that long ago and get it wrong. But basically, he called me a lot of foul names, said I owed him, and that I remember the exact words I remember was that he said I need to make amends to him and what have you. But I don't feel that way about the whole situation, and I felt like it was almost came to violence, and that basically that's about it. I don't want to try going word for word because I don't remember exactly word for word the things that
So
were
it
said,
almost came to violence. So how did that come to be?
because he wouldn't leave my truck. I told him to get out of my truck. He opened the door, started to get out, then got back in my truck, and I started to get out of my truck to walk around, and I was going to pull him out of my truck. And then he got out.
All right. So is this something unusual that he'd hop in your truck to get a ride to go get to the store?
No, I've given him rides plenty of times, and I've bought him tobacco and helped him out and stuff like that. And I felt like because I wasn't doing that, I didn't have the money at the moment. Otherwise, I probably would have done it, but I didn't have the money. And when I told him no, he got really mad at me.
Okay. So your impression was he was wanting you to purchase what he wanted from the store for him.
Correct.
Okay. And then have there been times in the recent past that he's gotten in your truck and you've had a disagreement about him getting out and had to deal with it?
No, it's never been like that. Nothing like that.
Okay. All right. And then there's further information about other people coming to your house and alleging that Mr. Nelson stopping them and asking for things or asking for rides. Do you know anything about that in the petition?
I usually during the day I'm gone at work and things like that, so I'm not there all the time to really witness that, but I have seen him stop people at the end of our driveway and talk to them and what have you. I can't for sure say, yeah, that's what he was doing because I wasn't standing there listening to anything.
Okay.
but my wife is more familiar with that.
Okay. Let's see, let me just kind of finish some of my questions with you and then give you another chance, and then I'll turn to your Jamie Lucas. So at some point, Mr. Nelson used to live on your property?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I wasn't there for a long time, but when I left, he was living in the backyard.
Okay. So
And
just
he lived there for a
invited
long
him to
time.
live there?
Excuse me?
Just invited him to live there?
Yes. He needed a place to live, and he moved there and lived at our house for a long time. Yes.
Okay.
I don't remember
All
the
right.
exact amount of time, but it was for years.
How did that end?
Poorly. I wasn't there when he moved out, but from what my wife has told me, it was not a good thing.
Okay. All right. So your wife might know more on that one, so I'll ask there. So are you familiar with the other allegations in this petition about Mr. Nelson, the allegation that he's yelling at your son and calling him a quote, fucking tard and flipping him off? Do you know about those instances?
Just from what I've been told, I wasn't witness to any of that.
All right. How old is your son?
He's 10.
10 years old. And all right, well, it sounds like I'll hear about this from Jamie Lucas. And let's see. All right. So anything else, Mr. William Lucas, before I turn to Jamie Lucas?
All I got to say is that we don't want drama at our house anymore. And Albert seems to always bring drama. He's got a very negative attitude towards people, and that's about it. We're just trying to cut down on the drama and the stress of people.
So what are you asking the court to do?
Whatever they feel is right with the situation.
Well, you're the one who brought this petition. I want to know what you want out of this petition.
I just want to say this. Albert's been my friend for a very long time. I've known him for a very long time, and he hasn't always been like this. So, I mean, it's hard for me to say bad things about somebody that I've had, has been a friend for a long time. But Albert is a guy when he's very angry and negative, and we can't have that around us, and we can't risk the chance of some violence happening, especially with a 10-year-old's boy, and that's about it.
Okay.
I feel like that's just a risk we don't want to take, and
okay.
That's about it. All I got.
So in what way are you asking the court to prevent Mr. Nelson from contacting you? What are you looking for?
Zero contact. We don't want nothing to do with him.
So how close he's living in an adjoining property?
He lives at our neighbors across the street from us.
So across the road, not an adjoining property?
No, across the road.
Okay. And so the road is the way people get into your property and your neighbors, right?
Yeah, everybody has to use the road.
Okay. And any other shared common areas in this neighborhood?
No, nothing
No
like that.
mailboxes, no.
No, they live across the
area.
street. They have their own stuff, and we got our own stuff.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Well, let me turn to Jamie Lucas and hear from you, Ms. Lucas. So, what would you like to say about your petition and why the court should issue this order?
Albert did live here for almost 10 years. And his mental health has declined. He gets the seasonal depression and it gets worse and worse every year. At first, when he came to us and said he needed a place to stay, we allowed that, not realizing it was going to be for as long as it was. But it was fine and it worked out fine at first, but every year it got worse and worse. And he does have some major anger issues, but he was able to keep those at bay for quite some time. But when the time came for him to move out of here, it got to where my 78-year-old father was outside with me, and Albert had came out of his house, his tiny house, and was foaming at the mouth and screaming and calling me the C word and telling me I'm not going to do anything. And my dad about had a heart attack trying to get him to calm down because he was really coming at me.
Are you exaggerating there when you say your dad had a heart attack?
No, he almost did. He was.
So did he have heart pains and had to call 911?
No.
Okay.
No calling
All
911.
right.
But that is when both my father and I decided, I don't know that Albert needs to stay here. He really needs to figure out what's happening. Then the next
how did you end this living on your property?
I came into my house. I walked away. I said, Albert, if this isn't going to stop, I am going to call the police. I walked away. I came in my house. He didn't follow me. And there has been times that he has followed.
So tell me about that instance first, though. So when was that about?
Oh, that was before he moved out. So that's been 3 years now, maybe.
When did Mr. Nelson leave your property?
I don't, about 3 years, maybe.
Okay, so about 3 years back, and then did he move directly across the street at that point, or
no? He actually decided that it was best that he was going to move, and he was going to move to Oregon, and so he moved like 7 hours. I don't know exactly where, but it was a long drive.
When did you next see him?
October or early November of. Gosh, was it 22? I think it was 22 when I took my dad and went to California to see my daughter. And when we came
so around October of 2022, you notice he's living on the neighbor's property now?
Yep.
Okay. And so since then, why is it, so here we are, and that's 2+ years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are with a petition asking that he not have contact with you. When did this objectionable behavior start happening after October of 22?
We really didn't have a whole lot of contact when he moved back, but we also weren't really on bad terms either. But he stayed over there. I stayed over here. It wasn't until February-ish of last year that William had moved back into my house due to a really bad accident. And he had
have to tell me why. My question is trying to hone in on your allegations against Mr. Nelson and when things started up that has you here in court.
That's when Albert had started coming back around, was about in February, like coming over to my property, to my house. And it was saying hi to William. He hadn't seen him in a while.
February of when?
Of last year,
2024. All right. So over the last year, it's been developing.
Yes.
All right. And so then what I talked to William Lucas about is this event that in his truck. And then further in this petition, it says I presume that's Mr. Nelson, waits for our company to pull out of the driveway, stops them to ask for cigarettes or money, and ride to the store. So when did all that happen, or when?
Actually, the officer that we had called and he's the one that told us that we need to get the anti-harassment order. That started happening probably early February of this year.
Okay, so about a year passes and things are okay, and then things start de-evolving.
Things were not okay. No, things were not okay. I ended up telling Albert he wasn't welcome to come back on the property probably April or May of last year, and he hasn't come back on the property. But what he does is he walks across the street onto our side, sits right outside our fence. Our property is fenced, and we have 4 German Shepherds. And he sits right outside of our fence on a bucket and stares down here, and he'll yell until he gets somebody's attention. Or he sits out there with his dog, and just our dogs are just running the fence, and he's antagonizing them. It's getting to be frustrating that he just, I don't mind if he sits outside, but you don't have to be on our side of the road, and you don't need to be yelling down here to anybody that is outside in our yard mowing or whatever they're doing. And then sitting there antagonizing our dogs and getting our dogs to just constantly bark, 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 and it won't stop because he's just sitting and talking, and he brings his dog. It just, when I have company that leaves, he literally sits out there and watches and waits for one in particular person. She's a lady that I pay to come and clean my dad's house every 2 weeks, and he waits for her to leave, and then he stops her and asks her for cigarettes. So she wants to wait until he's no longer outside in the front yard, and then she hurries up and gets in her car and gets out of here so that she doesn't have to have any interaction with him.
Okay. And then you say that your little brother went to put mail in the mailbox, and you started yelling at him, tried to get him to fight with him. What did you see there?
He sits, he yells, and he says, "Come on, what are you going to do? You're going to fight me? You're going to fight me? Come on, hit me, hit me, hit me." And so much to where the other neighbors that live down the road.
Tell me more. Your little brother, how old is your little brother?
42.
Okay. And so he's going out to the mailbox. What did you witness there?
I didn't witness.
Oh, okay. So I don't
No,
know
I
about that.
was actually at work.
Right. You had a couple of, well, we have a statement here from someone. Let me see. Is that your little brother? No. Jesse Hemley? No.
Yeah, that's our other neighbor.
Okay. So I can't consider that because I don't have really anything corroborating it and you didn't witness it. And yes, mother. So you say at some point, Mr. Nelson raised his fists at you and screamed at you. Was this more than once, or when did
Definitely
this
more
start
than once.
happening?
That
When did this start happening?
Probably right towards the end of Albert living here is when it started happening.
So over 3 years ago. Okay. Yeah. Has it happened since February of 2024 when he came back to the neighbor's property?
When I kicked him out of my house, literally inside of my house. I told him, I said,
so tell me about that situation.
He is very disrespectful, and
how did he end up in your house? Did you invite him? Did he just show up? What?
He just showed up. I was at work, and then William was doing physical therapy and the doctors were here, and he would show up and then start talking, interrupting William's appointment. And so I came home from work, and Albert came back over and walked in the house. We were standing in my living room and started talking again about his health issues. And I said, "Albert, I get it that you have some health issues, but when William's doctors are here, you need to not be here, or don't show up when they're here, and then start involving yourself in the appointments and being inappropriate when it's not about you." And he said,
so he simply walked into your house uninvited?
Yes.
Has that happened more than once?
Yes.
Okay. And that's since February of 2024 through the last year?
Yes.
Okay. And that's how you dealt with it? You asked him to leave, and
he didn't want to. And so I grabbed his shoulders and turned him around and guided him towards the front door. And that was the last time he was on our property.
And you say that at any point when you talk about raising his fists at you and screaming at you, that was before February of 2025 when he lived on your property.
That's when it started, yes. But the last time he did it was the day that I kicked him out of my house and off of the property.
All right. Eight. Okay, so what exactly are you asking the court to do in an order if I were to issue an order?
I just want him to not be stopping the company that we have. I do not want him. It's very creepy when we have gatherings and we've got this man at the end of our driveway standing at our fence and just staring down our driveway. It's like it's intentional for hours. Hours. I would like him to not be looking down our driveway, not be stopping our company that is coming in and out of the driveway, and just leave us alone. I mean, he doesn't live in their front yard, the neighbor's front yard. He's behind their house with a big wood fence, so he can sit in their backyard and sunbathe or whatever it is. I do not need him sitting and watching our house. He's just sitting and watching our house and yelling and stopping our company. I don't want that anymore. So I'm asking that he not be able to even look towards our house. If he needs to leave his house, go to the road and just go straight down and get out of here. And don't be walking and staring at my house or yelling or not stopping our company or anybody that lives on our property.
Okay. So you're saying as well, you mentioned, let me look back here. You have a 10-year-old that lives with you.
Yes.
And he being included, of course, in protection.
Which is very sad because Albert and my son Jackson have been very close. Albert was a huge part of our life for a long time, and we do love Albert. We have always considered him family, absolutely, and I don't want him to think anything differently, but he needs to address his mental health issues because it's just declining and getting worse, and it's scary. It is so scary.
Well, if I issue this order on your behalf, and we hear from Mr. Nelson first, but if the court were to issue this order on your behalf, then contacting him, your son, William, that would defeat this order. So you understand that you would have to.
We won't have any contact, no.
Asking for. All right. Well, let me turn to Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson, you had a statement.
Okay.
You want to just hand that up and I'll make it part of the court record and I can review it if I can read it. Why don't you just have a seat and I'll read it here out loud here. All right. So can you make a copy of this and then we'll hand this original back to Mr. Nelson. Thanks, Mr. Nelson, if you don't mind, we'll give you your original back. And then this is part of the court record. And then I'll give you a chance to read that into the record, if that's what you wanted to do. I'm turning to you as to why the court should not issue this order. I presume that you don't want this order.
I don't.
You don't want the order?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me why not. And if that's what you need to read into the record, go ahead.
Okay,
You want to read that into the record? You made us, that's your statement.
Read this.
Yeah, I would think you brought that, you took that
I
time.
have not been on the property on which Jamie and William reside in all of 24 is longer than that as much as 25. It's longer than that as much as all of 24. I don't recall the date. I reside on the property across the road. I walk on the county road almost daily as I walk my dog Raleigh. If I'm restricted to 500 feet from them, I won't be able to travel on the county road.
Okay. All right. And other information on here is a case number, your phone number, call at 8 a.m., hearing at 9 a.m. There's something about that.
Yeah, my phone don't work right, or I don't know how to work it.
Okay.
I got hung up on 3 times just trying
So
to.
that's why you're here.
Yeah.
All right, good. All
And
right.
Mom gave me right here and just said, go in, and so here I am.
All right. So you say you haven't been on their property. What does that mean, on their property, to you? What does that mean?
I haven't been in, it's fenced. I fenced it, by the way. It's fenced. I haven't been on their property since she attacked me.
So you're asserting that Jamie Lucas attacked you.
Yes.
What does that mean? When did that happen?
When I went over there, I did go over
When
there.
that happened? Generally?
That was right after Will got out of jail or whatever, and he had fallen
So give
out
me a
of it.
year. What year, what month? When did it happen generally?
Same as she said.
Well, I need to hear from you because
I'm not exactly sure
Was
of the
it this
date.
year?
It was a couple years ago.
a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe 2023?
It was right after I came back from Oregon.
Okay.
So, and that was, just like she said,
All right.
it's been 2.5 years about.
Okay, so then what happened that you say that Ms. Lucas attacked you?
Okay, so I did go over to their house and I was welcome over there. And I knocked on the door and Will hollered, come in. He was still in a wheelchair and stuff, right? And there was a counselor lady in there. And we talked briefly and
Yeah.
excuse me, I tried to turn this off. I don't know how. This phone.
On the side, why don't you pull it out? On the side, I bet there's just an easy little, and you push it down. There you go. That just might do it. All right, so you are invited in, you say, by William Lucas. You go in, there's somebody else there, and then what happened?
We talked briefly and then I left.
Okay, so you say, though, that Jamie Lucas attacked you. What does that mean?
Well, so I went over there later in the evening when it was just them, and I knocked on the door and they said, come in. The door was not open. And I went in there and she said, don't come over here no more when there's people here that you don't know. The counselor or whatever she was. And I said, yes, boss. And she jumped up and shoved me towards the door. I was right by the door and I was frankly turning around to open the door. I mean, I was still standing there. And then when I said, yes, boss, she said something and I said, yes, boss again. And she'd already shoved me towards. Anyway, I was leaving. I had the door open already.
Did you leave?
Huh?
Did you leave?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you mean,
And
attacked means what? What does attacked mean?
she shoved me.
Okay.
And Will was yelling, Jamie, stop, stop.
All right, so you were shoved towards the door, you went out the door and left.
Yeah, and I haven't been back on their property since.
Okay.
And I
then,
haven't said a word to Jamie in all that time, not a single word.
okay, and then these allegations, more recently of meeting William at the end of the driveway and getting in his truck and asking for a ride to the store and having him buy you things there. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, when I walked over his truck, the door wouldn't open and he didn't roll it. I don't think he has electric windows or whatever. So he reached over and opened the door and I jumped in and I started reminding him of the thousands of dollars of actual money I've given him. I was his sponsor and he's been back out 3 or 4 times since then.
So what happened in the
exactly
truck?
know.
So you're telling him all these things that you think he owes you or amends he needs to
Why?
make.
He does, and he
And then-
acknowledges it.
And then he says that you, it almost came to blows. It almost came to violence.
I
Tell
don't
me what
think
you
it did.
remember.
I did insult him, though. Frankly, I told him that he's not exactly an upright person.
All right. So,
And
so
it
you
wasn't
heard his
nice. I
account.
wasn't trying to be nice.
Yeah.
Frankly, I was angry with it.
All right. So you heard his account of things that he told you to get out of the truck. Is that
I did get out,
Okay.
and then he went to work, presumably.
all right? So his account was he then felt he had to get out of his truck to come around to the other side. But then you did finally get out on your own
It
accord.
wasn't really finally. It was, okay, see you later.
All right. So that didn't happen that way, the way he described it.
I didn't threaten him at all. I did insult him though. I admit
Hear
that.
that. What about these allegations that when there's a person coming out of there, apparently the person who cleans the house,
Yeah.
stopping them, asking for cigarettes, money, or a ride to the store? What's that about?
It was Treva Nelson, and she was leaving, and I did ask her for a cigarette, and she gave me one, and she gave me the one she'd been smoking. And I kind of felt that was a bonding moment because we started talking about some similar interests and stuff, and it was brief. And
So had you done that at any other time?
with Treva, no, or
Okay.
nobody.
Nope.
Oh, I don't know. Jim used to come out, and we have
Who's Jim?
her dad.
Okay.
And I bummed cigarettes off him a bunch of times. And like, if I asked for one, he's given me 2 or 3,
Okay.
you know, because I have been broke, you know.
Okay. And if there's other questions I have for you. So you're saying that other than, well, whether you were on the property or not, you were at the road in front of their
Yeah.
property at least when you got into the truck with William Lucas and had whatever
Yeah, it was
occurred
outside
there.
the gate.
And then the person who cleans the property. And then other than that, you say, and other than going twice over to the house when William Lucas was getting some physical therapy or whatever, and then being shoved out of the house. Other than those times, you have not been on their property all of 2024 and 2025.
None.
All right.
In fact, I pet their dogs. They come out and see me. And I don't even stick my hand through the wire to do it. I just pet their nose.
All right.
3 of them. The other one, whatever his name is not. He doesn't come out there. He stays at the house or whatever. I don't know what he does.
So tell me about this allegation that you're sitting on the front of your neighbor, where you're living. You go to the front of that property and just sit and stare. What's
Well,
going on
that's
there?
an easement right there. It's outside the fence, and it's the first place that the sun hits.
Mhm.
The sun comes around a tree over at my neighbor's and hits that section right there. It's an easement, and I was out there combing Raleigh. It was in the springtime, and I was picking all the hair out of him because I don't want him to get clumps and stuff. And I love my dog.
So you're just out there,
It's the sunny
all
spot.
right, as opposed to the perception is you're just for hours staring at the house and
I
you're
don't think I'm not. Frankly, I'm just not. I look over there, you know, but I'm not staring at it. I was brushing Raleigh and picking the hair out of it. He's a Saint Bernard.
all right. Anything else you want to say?
I don't want a protection order against me like
Well,
in this statement because I haven't done anything wrong. I don't think I've been clean and sober almost 23 years and I haven't been in any trouble that whole time, except for $150 illegal lane change, which I just paid.
All right. Okay. Any? Do you have those? Yeah, just hand them over to me when we start hearing so that I got them. All right. Well, I'm just going to review a few more things, see if I have any questions of anybody before we go forward, but just hold your peace here so I can do that. So let me turn back to Mr. William Lucas, that event where I usually don't go back and forth here, but I just need to clarify something. So William Lucas, so you're home, maybe in a wheelchair, but you're somehow infirmed and you're getting some therapy. And I'm hearing from Mr. Nelson that he comes over and you invite him in, and then he comes back later. Do you remember all those events? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I remember it.
You tell me about it?
I just remember Jamie was really not wanting him to come over because those two were really not getting along at all at that time. I was back home and figuring things out, and so he was coming over to see me because I hadn't seen him in a long time, and he's always been my friend. But when he wouldn't leave the house, Jamie got pretty upset that he wouldn't leave, and was, the way he was portraying himself towards her was like he's just gonna stay there because I invited him in. But it's her house and all in, so she pushed him out the door and he didn't want to go. I mean, that was pretty basically how it all went down. And when where I come from, when somebody tells you to leave their house, you leave your house. That's their house. And when you resist that, it becomes a pretty tense situation. I mean, I think that goes for saying for anybody in their home.
And had this, Mr. William Lucas, had this happened in since we're talking about February of 2024 when Mr. Nelson kind of came back to the neighborhood. So since then, was that only event? Or were there other times?
I mean, there's been other times, but I can't say to those because I wasn't there. I didn't visually see or hear the things, So
all right.
I've
So
only secondhand information.
Remember.
Excuse me?
At one time you remembered you weren't there. You've just heard tell of others.
Right. Yeah. Secondhand information. So I can't say one way or another for sure. I just know from the times that I've experienced, they were very uncomfortable and tense.
All right. So then some clarification from Jamie Lucas. So that event where you had to get Mr. Nelson to leave your house, were there other instances of that sort of? He came in uninvited, you were there, you witnessed it, he wouldn't leave at your request.
No, that was last year, March or April of last year, the 24. And that day that he did not want to leave, and he was not at the door, he was all the way across the living room. When I told him, I said, you need to leave. And he did not want to leave. And I told him again, and then I guided him out the door. Since that time, he has not been back.
Okay. All right. And so the issue that caused you to come to court and file a petition for this order was, what was it that caused you to get to court?
A few different ones. The final straw was when he jumped in William's truck and demanded to be taken to the store at 8 a.m. He heard William's truck being warmed up, and so he was outside, and he came into our driveway. Yes, outside of the gate, but the gate is down our driveway a little bit, so it was still in our driveway, and jumps in his truck and then doesn't want to get out and is telling him, "You hit me, come on, hit me," which is something he does even with the person that he lives with. He's been doing that. Anyways, that was the final straw. But every time I have a gathering and he's on our side of the road, up against our fence, and staring down here or yelling down here or stopping people that are leaving our house or my father, and he just waits for somebody to pull out of the driveway and just is constant. It's constant. And you can't just walk away. He just keeps going and going and talking about anything, I guess. Nothing negative but just just harassing people and waits for them to leave. He sits out there and waits so that he can, because he can't come down here. He's not welcome on the property. So he'll sit on our side of the property, right outside of our driveway, on a bucket, upside down, and just sits and waits for people to leave so that he can have that human interaction with people that are leaving our house.
Okay. So, Mr. Nelson, anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But, oh yeah, ask him if, he said, Jamie, stop.
When?
When she shoved me out the door.
Okay.
And I was not across the room. I just stepped in. I was right by the door. I was turning around to open the door. And
Let me ask Mr. Lucas then, anything about that event when Mr. Nelson came in and was shoved out of Ms. Lucas's house? Anything about that statements you made?
I think as far as what I'm misunderstanding your question.
That we're trying to maybe stop or ameliorate that event. Anything
I may have said that. I don't remember exactly. I remember it being a pretty unexpected, crazy event.
And why was it unexpected and crazy? Why did you feel that way about it? What was happening that caused you to think that?
Because because he should have just left the house when he was told to, instead of standing there and trying to get her to more mad.
Okay.
You know, if somebody tells you to leave the house, you leave their house. If you're not welcome in there, you leave, right? I mean, it's common sense. To me, it is.
Right. All right. Well, there's a difference there. So, Mr. Nelson, at this stage, what I have to find, and I am finding, I'm going to issue an order here that prevents you from going to this property. I'm going to say within 25 feet of the property. So that allows you to use that road to walk your dog to in and out to get to your home. But at least that. And
25 feet from the fence.
From the property. So there's a fence and then there's probably some
there's an easement.
Grass or
it's
something.
11-foot easement. I built.
We're not going to lawyer ball this. You're going to say 25 feet away from, and I'll say maybe halfway in the roadway. You stay on your half of the roadway. There you go. And you don't contact the child at all. That means Jackson. You don't contact him in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
You don't contact Jamie or William in any way, shape, or form. And you say 25 feet away from their property and them.
Is that from the fence?
No, it's from their property.
Well, the
middle of the
easement
one.
is like 11 feet wide or whatever.
You don't have an easement there, do you? You don't have rights to an easement there. There's a road and you're on the other side, right?
There's I built the fence. There's stakes there where it's.
You're not going to be on their side of the road.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to say you stay on your half of the road to go in and out and to walk your dog.
Okay.
Don't lawyer ball it.
Okay.
Don't purse.
I have no problem with that.
All right. So, so I'm going to write up this order. I'll hand you a copy so you have it. It's going to be in effect for the next year. I think it's really clear after this hearing that nobody wants any contact with each other. And of course, you know, as I said to the Lucases, they kind of have to police Jackson because he's 10 and he doesn't understand these things or isn't held to understand these things. But don't put Mr. Nelson in a position that he's staying where he's supposed to be and all of a sudden someone's contacting him, because that defeats this order. I do find that there's unlawful harassment given this event, that there was intent to commit this. So let me write this up. And then so I'll just need some quiet while I do that. And I'll give you a copy, Mr. Nelson, before you leave.
Okay.
Is William free to go? He's supposed to be at work.
Let me finish up this order, not until I'm finished here.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Nelson, why don't you come on up here, and that's your copy. And Mr. Lucas, Ms. Lucas, you can be on your way now, and that copy of that order will be in the court file.
Your Honor, does that, that keeps him 25 feet away, but does that also stop him from standing in the neighbor's front yard and just watching over here?
Well, I can't really make an order that affects that. We'll see if there's something to amend this order. You can always come back to the court, but it's kind of ethereal. So at this stage, stay 25 feet away at least from these folks, their child, their residents, their vehicles. All right. And this order is in effect for the next year. Is that on the face of that?
Yeah.
All right. And so to the Lucases, if you feel you want this order to go beyond that year, then we have to have another hearing like this. Within 3 months of its expiration, so, December, January of the next year, then sometime at that point, within 3 months, you can refile and ask the court to have a hearing. Everyone would be back and we'd talk more about it, whether the order should or shouldn't continue farther, or it just ends naturally on that date, a year from today.
Okay.
So that's all for today. You can be on your way, Mr. Nelson. Don't
Okay,
forget
thank
your
you,
glasses.
Your Honor.
All right,
I think this was helpful.
good.
I
All right, just be on your way and follow that order.
Truth. All right, you can have a seat.
And
Mr.
Ms.
Johnston.
Torres, I see.
Raising your right hand, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Seat. And Ms. Johnston, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please be seated.
Great. So, this is case 2556 filed by Ms. Peters, asking for an order against both Taylor and Carrie Johnston. And there's been a temporary order issued. And the parties should know that I have reviewed the order that was issued by the previous judge under 25-9 on January 27th, protecting Ms. Carrie Johnston from William Peters. And along with reviewing this, I thought it important to kind of see a broader reach. So, Blaine, I'm just going to ask, how do I give you this? This is already off of full screen, but I really need more real estate. Half screen. And, just by hitting escape and then hitting. Well, it was one of those. Yeah. All right, there we go. All right. But it didn't have that button. I had to hit escape to get that button. Okay, now that I know how to do it. Thanks. So, thanks, Blaine. Take the rest of the day. Get my screen set up here. And again, I'm looking back and forth because I've got electronic files here. I am listening, but I'm also looking. There's a lot of things filed here. So this. All right. So to both parties here, my first, as I've reviewed 25-9 and I've reviewed this case, 2556 filed by Ms. Peters, I'm not seeing a substantial change from January 27th. I'm not seeing a substantial basis by which to issue any order. This appears to be simply a request by Ms. Peters because there was an order issued on January 27th. I don't see any real basis. And so that cuts us to the chase. Everything I've read, all the exhibits, there were a lot of exhibits filed, and 09, there was a lot of information, that previous case. So there is nothing here to cause this court to issue an order on your behalf. Ms. Peters, frankly, looks retaliatory to the court. Now, I'm not going to make any findings as to that, but I find there is no substantial basis to issue an order on your behalf. So that temporary order ends. The order that is in existence that protects Carrie Johnston from William Peters continues, and there is no order out of this case because there isn't any basis. So that's it. You haven't met the burden that you needed to meet. So I will sign an order as to the effect. You can either wait or you can access that order online in our court files. Did you want to wait or just access that online?
We'll wait.
Pardon? Okay, and Ms. Peters? Want to wait? All right, so let me take care of this. All right, we're taking up case 2558, and this is Mr. Barrett has received a temporary restraining order against Ms. Harris, and that's the hearing today. So, Mr. Barrett, why don't you stand up with me, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, have a seat. And Ms. Harris, you'd raise your right hand with me. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
And Mr. Barrett, just so you're not uncomfortable, I'm looking at the back wall, not at you all the time, and you may get a little confused because that's where the video screen is. So I'm looking at Ms. Harris because sort of it's sometimes easier to change focus. All right, so let me get all my documents again, as I've said to others, just so you're aware. I've got another screen here, and that's where I'm looking at my court dockets or all the information that y'all filed. So I'll be looking back and forth. I am listening, but I am also looking at what you filed. So please understand that. Where are they? So just getting some of those dockets or information open. Give me a moment. Just refamiliarizing myself as I've had there were several hearings scheduled today, so I have notes, but I always want to look back and recall what exactly we're doing here. All right, and this involves also several of your children that we included, Mr. Barrett, in the temporary order. Okay, so I'm going to start out, with the petitioner, as I said. So Ms. Harris, first I'm going to talk with Mr. Barrett, and then I'm going to turn back to you and hear from you, and then I'll make a decision about whether this temporary order continues or not, what the conditions might be if I do make that decision under the law that this order should continue. So, Mr. Barrett, anything more, anything you want me to focus in on, anything in particular? You filed this petition, what would you like to say?
I submitted some information this morning,
This morning,
also via email.
okay, let's get that going.
Well, I just, because it was all within the body of the email, can't accept it that way, so you have to send it as a batch.
And did you provide that by any chance separately to Ms. Harris?
No, I didn't.
No, okay. All right, so a couple of options for you. I could go forward without that information. You can tell me about it, or we can set another court date. You get that information into the court, get it to Ms. Harris, and that's how we deal with it. So I guess I need to know from you where you want to go.
I can tell you about it then.
Okay, so rather than me reviewing any of that, you're going to forego all of that you tried to file.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, then that's what we'll do. We'll go on what we have, and I've got and you're ready for your hearing otherwise today?
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Harris, you ready for this hearing today?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So back to you then, Mr. Barrett. What would you like to say on this?
So back in September, October was my first interaction with her. She came to my property about my dogs, supposedly being on her property. And she showed me a video of a long-haired German Shepherd, which didn't exactly match my dog's description. But so we talked about it, and she asked what I was going to do about it because I don't have a fenced-in yard. So I told her that when time and money allows, I would get a barrier put up. So if it was my dogs that went on her property, it wouldn't happen again. But then after that incident, there was several times that my wife and I were not home, and we heard from the neighbors that she was sitting in our driveway. Well, there was no vehicles there. There was no indication that anybody was home, and she was just sitting parked in our driveway. And we have a very long driveway to get down, so she was sitting in front of our house. So I heard from the neighbors about that. And then also one time my father was home and she came on 2 different instances when my dogs were inside in the kennel all day with my dad, that she was there sitting in our driveway, not coming to the door, not doing anything, just sitting there.
This is not a shared driveway, is it?
No,
She doesn't need
it's
to
my
use
private,
it,
it's my private driver that she has no business down the driveway.
but nobody else needs to use it to get
No,
to their own
nobody,
property.
nope, it's
Okay.
just my property.
All right.
Access for one
and-
residence.
All right.
And so, so then that happened. And then, animal control was called. They came and talked to us. We were not issued any warning because they said she didn't provide any proof. They met our dogs. They actually physically petted
So
our dogs.
what's the deal with her, though? Not, so
well,
what
this-
is,
the
why are you
order-
asking for this protection?
From February 24th. So February
Okay.
24th, I got home probably like, I think probably about 1:30 in the afternoon. And I heard this honking and I'm like, what is that? And Miss Harris's vehicle was in my driveway holding the horn down. So I went out, I opened the door and she starts yelling from her window, "Are your dogs with you?" And I said, "Yes, my dogs are with me. They're in the house." And I started walking up to her. I'm like, as far as I know, they've been in the house. I apologize if they were out. And as soon as I finished speaking, she started screaming at me. So I said, she was screaming and cursing. So I said, "Hold up. This is not going to go this way on my property. You need to leave." And she said, "No, I'm not leaving until you talk to me." I said, "No, I'm not going to let you disrespect me on my own property." So I said, "You need to leave or I will call the sheriff." And she refused to leave. So I went inside to grab my phone, which I have videos, but I wasn't able to figure out how to submit them. They're too large.
Tell me about it.
But so I went in the house and when I closed the door, she's laying on the horn. I called the sheriff, told them what's going on. They said they were going to send somebody out. So she's constantly laying on the horn. My kids are crying, freaking out. "What's going on, Dad?" So I go back outside and I'm like, I'm going to film her doing this. So I filmed her. I walked around her vehicle, got her plate number.
So you went inside, did you call the sheriff?
Yes, I went inside and
Okay.
called the sheriff and the whole time she's laying on her horn. So I went back out there to film this. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe because I have a long driveway, like I said, I'm going to go wait at the end of the driveway for the sheriff. And maybe that will entice her to leave my property. Because she kept saying, "I'm not leaving until you talk to me." I said, "I'm not talking to you, so leave."
How many times do you think she told you she's not leaving after you asked her to leave?
I would say at least half a dozen to a dozen.
Okay.
She was just flat out refusing. And I told her, like, "We're not talking, so you need to leave. Your trespass." I even used the word trespass.
And
You
when
need
she
to leave.
was, when you say initially, "Are your dogs with you?" She's hollering, and then after that, there was cursing.
There was
know
no
what she said?
attempt at cordial communication.
Do you know what
It's-
she said? Did she make any threats to harm you or your person or your
It started
property?
with, "You need to F in," and as soon as that left her mouth, I shut down. I said, "This is not going to happen. You need to leave." And
So
she
there weren't
just
any
started screaming.
threats to harm you, your property, or your children yet at that point?
No,
of
she wasn't.
dogs?
She
Okay.
didn't threaten, but she refused to leave.
Okay, all right.
So
go
and
back
then
to- kids are upset, you've called.
called the sheriff.
sheriff,
I
and
go
now
sit
what?
at the end of the driveway and I'm sitting next to the driveway so she could clearly leave. I was blocking my neighbor's driveway at that point.
Are you just sitting yourself or in a car?
I'm in my vehicle. I got my vehicle and drove to the end of the driveway.
Okay.
She lives across the
So-
street.
You drove, how do you drive if she's in your driveway?
So I have so you come down my driveway, then it opens up and there's a
Okay.
big parking area. You can go behind my house. I have 2 acres. So you can go all the way to the back of the property. You can go all the way to the front, but there's a big parking area in front of the house where all the cars are. So there's enough room to have several vehicles and turn around.
Okay,
And
so
so,
you could drive around this person in your driveway?
yeah,
and
she
then
was
go to
sitting
the end?
here. My vehicle was sitting here in front of my house. I had plenty of room to back out, well, actually, I backed all the way down the driveway and blocked the neighbor's driveway. So she could leave. She was free to leave, to wait for the sheriff. Well, then she pulls up and blocks my gate, my driveway. So I can't even get into my property now. And I said, "You need to leave. This is illegal." So she's actively blocking my driveway.
Okay, so let me understand how that works. So she's in your driveway, and then how did she?
So I'm sitting at the end, right by the road. She comes and I have a gate. Well, there's no longer a gate there, but there's 2 posts where there used to be a gate. So there's only room for 1 vehicle to get through. She comes and sits right there. So nobody could get in or out.
Perpendicular to that?
No, she just pulled. So here's the 2
Oh,
posts.
just
She comes,
between.
yeah, just
Okay.
sitting right in the middle of the lane. And
Okay.
so at this point, I told her she needs to leave. I'm filming this as well. you need to leave. This is illegal. I can't get to my house. I can't get to my children. She's like, I'm not leaving. So I called the sheriff again at this point. There was 2 calls. And I said, can you guys please hurry? She's now blocking my driveway. I can't get to my house. So they told me to stay on the line. I stayed on the line with 911 until the deputy showed up. He showed up. She was actively blocking my driveway and saw that I could not get into my property. So he had her pull forward. He had me get back in my car, had her pull forward enough that I could squeeze by. And then I went and waited at my house for him to talk to her. And then he came and talked to me. So that was the end of that incident. And I asked him, can I have her trespass? Can I press charges? He said the best course of action would be to get an anti-harassment order because I don't know why I couldn't
So if this
trespass.
happened before or something.
This was the second
before.
time I've ever had a personal face-to-face interaction with her. This
Okay,
is
what
the
was
second
the-
interaction.
What was the first one?
The one I mentioned back in September, October, when she came
Okay.
and we talked about, she showed me a video that she thought was my dog. I didn't think it was my dog.
Was there any conflict or harassment or threats or anything at that point?
At that point, yeah, she was talking about me buying a gate or a fence for her property. That I was going to pay for a fence if it kept happening. She kept mentioning I'm going to pay for a fence.
So do you share a property line?
No, she lives
No.
across the street.
Across the street,
Yeah.
so, all right. But a threat to harm, were there any threats to harm you, property, family, dogs?
Just stalking me.
In
She-
October, when you first met, or September, October, when you first met, that discussion. So hold your peace there. You can only
During-
hear from one person at a time and you're interrupting the recording.
during that discussion.
Yeah, what happened then?
In
Talk to me all-
October?
Yeah, talk to me. all
That
about
was just, we talked about the gate, we talked about the dogs. She just kept saying, if this is gonna be a problem, then there's gonna be court proceedings or something following. She basically made me feel intimidated and made me feel threatened by what she was saying.
As to maybe litigation or
Yes.
something, animal control.
Yeah,
of
without
dogs.
any, I mean, I felt like there was no proof that my dogs were even on her property, so it's just like,
All right. So that was the first event. It
Yes.
wasn't a good friendly neighborly, but it was simply contain your dogs or maybe I'll sue you or get animal control or you got to build a fence. Maybe you need to build a fence for me so that if you're going to let your dogs go, is that kind of what,
Yeah.
All right. And then the next time, so no other contact, no.
But aside
seeing
from
each
her-
other?
reports from the neighbors and from my father of her sitting in our driveway when we weren't home.
Okay, so that happened.
In between those 2
Yeah.
timeframes, several times.
Okay, so several times means how many do you think?
I can tell you at least 4.
Okay, so about 4 times. She's in her vehicle, in your driveway, just sitting.
Sitting right by my house.
All right. And any discussion after all that? Any contact after all that before February 24th?
No,
No, no
aside
letters, no
from
nothing.
animal control, there
Okay,
was no.
so animal control shows up around when?
I want to say it was like towards the end of October
Okay.
or middle or end of October. I'm not exactly sure on the date. I wasn't there when they showed up. They spoke to my wife.
Okay. All right. And so they show up, talk to them. And then between October and February, 4 times you understand she's in her vehicle sitting in your driveway.
Yes.
Okay. And no, not coming up to the door, knocking on the door, no leaving a note, no nothing,
Nothing.
no emails, no texting, no nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. And then all of a sudden on February 24th, your neighbor's in your driveway in her car, honking her horn, refusing to leave up to a dozen
Cursing at me.
times.
Yes.
Okay. And, all right.
And then the next day,
25th?
February 25th, I received a phone call from an ex-coworker of mine whom I hadn't spoke to in a long time. And he asked me if I knew of a Karina Harris, and I was like, yeah, why? She had reached out to him on Facebook. Mind you, I don't know this woman, so I don't know how she knows my last name, none of that. I introduced my first name, that's it. So somehow she found him on my Facebook because we're mutual friends on Facebook, and she wrote him a message to give to me, but he didn't even reply or show her that she could see the message, because you can view a message without letting the sender know that you've seen it on social media. And so she wrote him asking if he can send me a message for her. And then she sent the message, and it was a bunch of slandering me, talking about my criminal record and how I'm going to pay for her fence and how she's already had to spend $700 on a small fence in her backyard, and how I already have basically almost word for word, I already have criminal charges. Do I want more because I can't contain my dogs and they're a threat to public safety and that, or human safety, and that I have no regard for human safety because of my past. She was bringing up my past criminal record. So she's literally, I don't understand what my criminal record has to do with my dogs being in her yard, but she's running background checks on me, following me on social media, reaching out to coworkers, which my coworker said he doesn't know her. He's never met her, doesn't know how she got his information to even talk to me. He even offered to come here if I needed him to, but he said he doesn't even know that woman. So at that point, I was terrified. She's running background checks on me. She's making accusations. She's slandering, basically calling into question my character. So what's going to stop her from reaching out to my boss next time, or the company I'm working for? Like, I don't know how she's even finding this information out about me. So I'm terrified.
So what animals do you own?
I have a
Dog.
German Shepherd and it's like a pit bull mix.
All right. 2 dogs.
Well, we
that
have a
seem
third
to
one
be-
too, but the third one was not involved in this.
And so that doesn't seem to be part of the aggravation.
Right.
These 2 are the.
And again,
that are being
each time, so animal control's been in our house twice now, and both times they said she has not provided any proof for them to give us a ticket or any formal complaint.
So I'm going to turn to Ms. Harris, but what do you anticipate I'm going to hear from her?
I honestly don't know, probably calling into question my character and bringing up my background, which has nothing to do with this.
Okay. Anything about the dogs or
She's probably going to try and say they're dangerous, but I mean, we've lived in this house for 4 years.
4 years?
And she just moved in last year, and we haven't had 0 problems with anybody around us until she moved
Why
in.
would you think she would say you have dangerous dogs?
That's what she wrote in the message, that my dogs were dangerous and that I don't have any regard for human safety.
Okay. Is there
Because-
some allegation of them attacking her family, animals?
Animal control never said anything about them being threatening to anybody, or they would have given us a ticket or further. They closed their investigations each time they met our dogs. They came into our house and our dogs were out in the yard.
What did animal control say they were there for? Did they tell you what the substance?
Well,
of the
apparently it's
complaint was?
anonymous, but they said that our dogs were at large.
Okay.
They said it's anonymous. And then they also, the animal control lady this most recent time said that she feels, in her opinion, she can see how these are it's like harassment, her complaints. They said they can see a form of harassment in the complaints they're getting about our dogs.
So do you know how many complaints have been sent to animal control about your dogs?
As far as I know, the 2, they've been to our house twice. And like I said, each time, because normally there's a process, you get a warning and then you get ticketed.
Okay.
And each time they've talked to us, but they haven't given us a warning or a ticket, because they said you have to have a time-stamped and dated picture. You have to have proof. And they
So are
said
you-
she's not
Are
provided
you
any
under
proof.
any restrictions from animal control?
No, none.
And so, and two times have just been that the animals are at large.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you understand. All right, let me turn, anything else before I turn to Ms. Harris?
I saw in her table of contents or that she submitted something about an Amazon dog bite or something. Again, that further terrifies me because I have no clue how she would know anything about that. There was an incident
What's
between
that?
there was an incident between our dog and an Amazon delivery driver that was closed. Animal control was not involved. There was no
Do you know
legal
when that
proceedings.
happened?
What was that?
When did that about?
I want to say beginning of October,
Okay, of 24,
like October 1st, around there.
2024?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, and something happened, Amazon came to.
Yeah, something
deliver
happened with Amazon and our dog, and it was not public information. I don't know how she knows about that. And I noticed the other day she has a camera pointing right down my driveway. So I think she's literally watching us 24/7 now. Like, I'm convinced of it. I'm terrified that she's watching my house all the time, waiting for my dogs to walk down my driveway. Like how she would know about that, I have no idea. That's between us and Amazon. I don't know how she got any information on it. It's scary to be honest. It just adds to all of this, reaching out to my coworkers, looking at my social media, reaching out to people off my
So
social
it looks
media.
like, is this your partner or your wife?
That's my
She's
wife.
raising her, is she a witness that you want to call?
Yeah,
I'm the owner of
Okay.
Amazon.
So why don't you come up? I'll put you under oath. I'll hear from you and then I'll finally turn to Ms. Harris. Nope, right there.
And raise your right hand and you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
All right, why don't you have a seat and tell me your name?
Elizabeth Barrett.
Elizabeth Barrett,
Yes.
and you are married to Mr. Barrett?
Mhm.
Okay, and you live at this residence that we're talking about?
Yes.
And you're the owner as well of these two dogs?
The
that are
dogs and the
upset?
Amazon account.
Okay, so what is it I should know about your request? I mean, Mr. Barrett is the only one I remember named on this order for protection.
I wrote in her and my father, Your Honor. I didn't really know how to go about it. I just wanted everybody in our house protected from being
Okay.
harassed by her.
And then the 4 kids.
Yeah.
And you share these kids?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So tell me, from your perspective, what I need to know about this request for an order against Ms. Harris.
Well, I've known about the surveillance system that she has pointed at our house.
What do you know
because
about it?
You could see the light on it at nighttime, and then if it gets a little dim in the daytime or in the mornings, you can see the light. It is the kind of camera that hunters use to watch animals. And so since this incident with Amazon was from the driver not using the alert system to let us know they were coming, and she was in our doorway. So when
Who
this
was in your
incident-
doorway?
The Amazon driver.
Okay.
So when this incident happened, it was in my doorway, which would be not something that you could easily capture without that surveillance system. So that would be the only way that she would know about this incident.
And Ms.
because
Harris
it was
would know.
it was my complaint. The incident was opened because the driver came to my doorway and way further than somebody delivering stuff should be at. So this incident should not have been public information. It's just simply from the constant surveillance of my home.
All right. All right, so I'm going to turn to Ms. Harris at this stage. Ms. Harris, now's your time to respond to this request. There's a temporary order in effect, and your opportunity to respond as to why the court, I presume, you don't want this order and why the court shouldn't allow it to go farther.
Okay, first of all, let me address Amazon. Amazon, seeing their dogs in my yard so many times, they quit delivering to me because the dangerous dogs, because there was a dog bite. So I had to explain to Amazon that they are not my dogs. So I actually got cut off for deliveries because of that dog bite, because the driver sees the dogs in my yard. That's how I found out about Amazon, for one. Two, the camera they're speaking of is a rodent and like coyote control. It is a little thing you stick in the ground because I'm trying to deter her dogs from coming in my yard. So if something comes close to it, it makes a noise, goes, and it flashes red. That is not a surveillance camera. That is simply, it detects motion, makes noise and a light to trying to deter their dogs from coming in my yard. I have got it on all 4 corners of the acre property, trying to keep the dogs out of my yard. That is not a camera. I could go pull it right out of the ground right now. I've got them in all 4 corners and also at the driveway. So there's that. Animal control. The reason they have not heard anything back is because the case is still open. Animal control has called me. They said they're taking further measures and they will call me when the case is closed. When he says they don't have any videos or pictures, that is false. In the first case, the officer told me that my video proof was not sent correctly, so he didn't get it with the report. And I will tell you, I have dozens of ring cam videos of their dogs. And I have been to their house 3 times and 3 times only. And the 3 times I matched them up with my ring cam videos. And I'm going over there only for one reason only, is to have them come get their dogs. The other thing I want to bring awareness to is through their entire petition, they talk about I was drunk every single time. And I'm sure that they have looked at the evidence, what he just said. of my, and that I have my 911 call and videotaped him what he did when I came to his house. He's the real danger. Their dogs are dangerous. This is a serious situation. And I am, the last thing I am is drunk. I am terrified and I am very upset. So why no mention of being drunk today when their entire petition is about I'm so-called drunk? I am there because their dogs are in my yard and it's dangerous. And on October 30th, they say I was at their house. Oh, by the way, those 3 times that I've been there, I don't get out of my vehicle. Their dogs are loose. Why would I get out of my yard? I'm sorry, my car. I'm there to have them come get their dogs. And I have all the ring cams from it. And they have not heard back from animal control because besides me, there's 2 other cases that are open. Animal control did tell me that. I don't have them for court. I'm sorry I couldn't submit it for evidence because I did request the public records, but I got an email back that it could take up till April 21st to get. And so I am not trying to search them and do things.
Step you back so you say you've been to their property 3 times. So do you agree it was around September and October and then February of this year?
Not in the middle time.
Well, why don't you start me out? Your 3 times. Start me out with the first and then go to the second and then the third.
I didn't want to talk to them because it started to be a problem. And so I put up those animal deterrents to see if that could do it. Because I did see there was a coyote also coming around. So it was like their dogs, the coyote is why I put them up. And I was really hoping that would work. And honestly, I didn't want to get to know them because we moved in and in September.
So tell me when you first had contact with anyone. Talk me through those 3 times.
So what I was going to tell you was the sheriffs came, like 8 sheriffs came and surrounded their house when I was getting ready to go talk to him. So I was kind of nervous about it, but I did it anyways because the dogs came again. And the sheriff.
And when was that, do you think?
That was in September. So I did go over because the dogs came back again. And I was like, I really didn't, because sheriffs gave me a card and said, if you see Aaron or a white car, please call us. We stayed our mind business. I didn't call the sheriffs when they were around. And
you went over in September and your conversation was with who?
Yeah. It wasn't until this time that I said that I was going to sue them for offense, which I am.
Well,
that is
step
true.
back. What was that first meeting? Tell me all about that first meeting.
It was fine, actually. He was polite. He said, yeah, it's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem. And we're trying to get money together to put a fence up and they shouldn't be in your yard. I was pleased with the conversation. And I stressed to him that I'm nervous. Like I have a 23-pound corgi. And he goes with me everywhere I go. We walk out the door. This last time, the pit bull and German Shepherd were at my front door and at my car door. This is going to end up in a bad scenario.
When was the second time that you had contact with
The second time, which I sent you the video, I went to let my dog outside and the German Shepherd was like 20 feet away and I didn't see, he came out from the side of the house and I didn't see him. And the German Shepherd did run, but my little guy, when he's at home, he's protective. So my little guy took after him. And then
when about was this, do you think?
This was October 30th. The same.
Okay. So did you have contact with either of the Barretts?
Okay. So no, they didn't come to their door. I went to their house, which is true. I did go and I had showed you that video. It's time stamped on the 30th and they didn't answer. They didn't come out. I came to the house.
Stayed in your car or your vehicle.
Yes.
And what did you do to get anybody's attention?
I called animal control and I sent them the videos and that was why animal control went there. I also sent you the receipt October 31st.
But step back, you're not answering. I really need some help here. So on October 30th, you go over in your car. How did you get anybody's attention, any of the Barrett's attention?
Nobody came out.
But so you just went over, sat and hoped somebody would come outside?
I just honked the horn, nobody came out and I left.
All right. So, and then since then, the Barretts think that you've been there about 4 times before about February. So you tell me, what do you think?
Didn't happen. The only other time is I drove up to their mailbox because animal control, I needed the address and I wasn't positive what the address was. So I just drove over and to their mailbox because I was doing the report for animal control. Any other time, I have never been to their property ever.
Okay, so then in the petition, there are these allegations that family members see you there. Let's see, where is it?
Didn't happen, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, and then February 24th, we've heard from Mr. Barrett. What's your recollection?
So February 24th. Oh, sorry. I was thinking earlier date. Okay, so February 24th, what happened was I looked out my window because my dog was freaking out and the dogs were right up at the house. I mean, right up. I mean, if we would have walked out the door, it'd have been a bad scenario because my dog always goes from the door right into my Jeep and waits for me to open the door. You know what I mean? It's like it would have been catastrophe. And so I called 911, which you have my 911 call. And they said if it's not an active attack, there's nothing that they can do, but they said what we need to do is transfer you to animal control. I got voicemail animal control. So then the dogs went around to my side yard and I sent you a picture of the dogs behind my Jeep. And because a ring cam catches everything. These guys say there's no evidence. It's like I have dozens of videos. And so I got in my car and I went up to his house. And if Your Honor, he said to you earlier that his dogs were with him. If you look at the police report and the evidence, he even told the police officers, kids, let the dogs out. I mean, the dogs were loose.
So what do you remember happened? So you call animal control, you got, go on.
In the car and I went to pulled in their driveway. I honked the horn. He opened the door and he yelled, my kids let him out. And he shut the door again. He said, my kids let him out. So he shut the door. Well, I've had to buy a fence that October 30th that happened. The October 31st, I sent you the.
So let me hone in on the 24th. So, you stayed on your property or where did you do? Where did you go?
I got in my Jeep when they went around the side property because they usually, when they come through, they'll go out and go down the other street, Green Ridge. So once they left, I got in my vehicle. Because 911, I got a voicemail at animal control. So I drove up to their house. I go out the driveway. It's kind of like kitty corner. And I go in the driveway and I honked the horn. He opened the door. He said, my kids let him out. And he went back in and shut the door. Well, I had more to say to let him know, like, this is getting scary. Like, if I would have came out that door with my dog, we would have had a direct encounter. And instead of talking to me, he shuts the door. He comes out of his house and he's from his deck and he's narrated alcohol involved, intoxication, and starts creating this scene that's not the scene and starts filming me because he knew darn well exactly why I was there because his dogs were out. He knew why I was there. And so he was claiming that I was drunk. And then he said he was going to call the police. And then I'm there because I'm terrified to death of their dogs. I'm truly terrified. So I said, you know what? I am not drunk. I will stay. I will stay for the sheriff. So he ends up backing out, which, Your Honor, this is during school hours. I never saw any kids. That's all I'm saying. And why would he leave his house if kids were really in the house terrified? But that's whatever. Maybe people do that. So he leaves and goes to the road. I'm pulling out and he's videotaping me and I'm trying to talk to him. And then he said he called the sheriff and I looked and the sheriff was coming. So I backed up and I was like, I'm waiting right here. You say I'm drunk. I am not drunk. I want proof. I want a sheriff to see that I am not drunk because these two that are in court in front of your court, they have like
So then you back up and the sheriff arrives and what happens?
And he talked to me and he said, well, clearly you're not drunk. And I said, no. And Your Honor, if I was drunk like the report says, why would an officer let me drive home? Because I wasn't.
I'm not concerned so much about that.
I'm
But
just-
so the sheriff comes, you have an opportunity to talk to the sheriff.
Yes.
And
he
then
was
somehow, how does this all resolve that
He
day?
was very nice. He said, thank you for waiting. I said, I'm here because he's saying I'm drunk and I'm terrified of his dogs. And he said, well, I thank you for waiting. And then he said, I'm going to go talk to him. Then the sheriff came back the next day and he saw that I said, look, I've even put up a fence. And he said, yeah, you really need to stay on top of this with animal control. And his words exactly were to me. Mr. Barrett seems to think that his defense is that his kids let his dogs out. And he's not getting it that he's responsible.
So what
And he-
happened on the 25th? So you're talking to the officer on the 25th. You said
Yes.
they came back out. Why did they come back out on the
He came
25th?
to let me know that he talked to what happened when he went and talked to him.
Okay.
Because he sent me home. You know what I'm saying? After he talked to me, he sent me home. And then he said he would follow up with me later. So he personally came over and was super nice and said, you know, he doesn't get it. He thinks because his kids let the dogs out that it's like he's not responsible. And them saying this isn't their dog, I have endless videos. It's their dogs.
So it's been about 3 weeks since the last kind of contact about all this you've had, or?
Yes, and
Not.
here's what I can promise you. I will never go on their property again. Animal control is taking it very serious, and we're taking it very serious because it's gotten to a point where it's serious. I mean, something bad's going to happen. And also, the report was mostly written by his wife, which she's never been there. I've never even seen her. So, and I mean, what this feels like is retaliation for me calling animal control. And this is even more proof they don't want to take responsibility for having control of their animals.
Let me ask you a question. So you say that you're terrified of these two dogs, the German Shepherd and the Pit Bull mix, and kind of map out for me why you feel that.
Because one, my little dog, I mean, he goes to daycare, he goes to parks, everything. But what I didn't know this until their dogs came around, and even the coyote, he charges them. So, like, it's just a bad combination. So even if their dog didn't attack my dog first, my little dog is protective. Something bad's going to happen. Or it could be us. I don't know their dogs. So I don't know if they're nice dogs, bad dogs, whatever they're on. They don't want trespassing on their property. How about the trespassing of their dogs? Like, problem solved.
So fortunately, your dog hasn't been attacked. You haven't been attacked. Is that right? But you say they've been on your front porch.
No, I don't have a porch. They were literally this time why I went over there and why I was honking the horn for him to come back out is to let him know that this time, because before they would usually come in the backyard, which I've already put up a gate to stop them. I put up the flickering lights, which is not camera. It's to deter animals. That's all it is. It's not a camera. My ring cams are connected places on my property, but it's not the one that they're talking about that sees their house. That's an animal deterrent. So I've put up small fencing, I've put up a gate, I have animal deterrents, I've involved animal control. Like, I've done everything under the sun that I could possibly do to keep their dogs out of my yard. That's the only reason I was at their house.
So at this stage, then, you've put up some sort of fence, and is there any other?
If you look and you can see the picture of it, what it is, it's an full acre property. I just put a smaller fence up on the October 31st, the day after the chase with their dog. And the same day they say they went to their house. Yes, I did because of that video. The next day I bought fencing. It's just so my dog can go out to the bathroom safe. And if their dog happens to be there, my dog doesn't chase their dog, vice versa. It's just to have a safe boundary. I've already done that. And I feel this whole thing is just retaliation because I did say now that it's happened again, now I am going to sue you for fencing. Because I mean, what more can I do? Amazon won't even deliver to me because they saw my dogs in here because they had a dog bite. And that's how I knew about Amazon. I had explained to Amazon that I'm doing everything I can to keep the dogs off my property. And
You
because
talk about an Amazon dog bite. What does that mean? I don't know what that's about.
Amazon got bit, the Amazon driver got bit by their dog. And then Amazon saw their dogs in my yard. So that Amazon driver didn't feel comfortable delivering to me. That's how I knew about this Amazon stuff, because I had to explain to Amazon to get my packages that I'm doing everything I can to keep those dogs away. And they have yet, Aaron, when I talked to him in September, they said they were going to put up fencing. There's still yet any fencing. And you know what, Your Honor? It's not only just like, it's everybody's protection. Those dogs are going to cause an accident or they're going to get hit. Like, they just let them go.
All right. Let me just kind of review what I'm looking at here. I'll turn back if I have any further questions here.
Absolutely.
All right. So Mr. Barrett, Ms. Barrett, Ms. Harris. So what I have to find under the law, I can't find to issue an order. What I have to find under the law is that there's a course of conduct committed by Ms. Harris against the two of you with the intent to cause harm, it's like to go back and read it out, but that it causes substantial emotional distress and serves no legitimate or lawful purpose. Now, I can see you don't like that your neighbor is coming onto your property and honking her horn, but now I'm hearing more from the other side. It makes some sense why she's there, not wanting to get out of the car, not wanting to confront two big dogs who she doesn't know. So often we have requests from folks in the county about neighbors' dogs. I mean, this pipes up a lot of stuff. There have to be some ways that if you're all going to live in this neighborhood, to communicate, maybe get the dogs introduced, maybe not, I don't know. You're all dog owners, you know that better than the court about your dogs. But that's the problem, is everybody has to control their dogs so that your neighbors aren't aggravated. And I don't find that Ms. Harris is committing harassment such that it's unlawful or illegitimate behavior, that she's coming over and honking her horn and get your attention because she doesn't want to get out and confront two dogs, so who are known to run loose. Now, there are other ways. I mean, I would suggest there's something called the Dispute Resolution Center, and they're here in this county. They do work. They've been doing it for decades. They help neighbors kind of figure things out. They help you come to some sort of understanding with each other so you can live peaceably and the dogs can peaceably and everybody can be safe and not worry about their neighbor. And they do that all over the county, and it's really helpful. I would suggest you try that if you can't talk to each other. But I cannot find that Ms. Harris is committing harassment as it's defined under the law. So I'm denying. The order ends today. There will not be an order going forward. I really, sounds like folks can talk about this. Maybe if the dogs get to know each other, it won't be a problem. I don't know, but certainly keeping animals on your own property, that's kind of what we all have to do. And that causes a lot of aggravation in the county. So,
do you mind if I ask a question then?
Go ahead.
At what point, if it's not talking about a solution that she wants, simply money, are we able to then ask that she not be able to keep coming over, and that's her own solution?
Well, I think you've told each other, you know, you have to respect each other's limits. And if you don't want someone on your property, then say that. But you got to figure this out. If you're going to live across from each other, you got to figure this out. You don't want to be aggravated forever.
Ever before. Yeah. So it's like, it's okay to then tell us if you don't feel safe. But she's
I think you've heard it.
However much time, and then coming to our house and saying, I want money. Okay, that's nice.
Well, don't leave it there. Don't leave it there, and don't get into an argument. You know, it sounds like you've got some room to work together.
Right. We've been.
And if you need some help, Dispute Resolution Center is a really good, low-cost group to talk to who can help you find ways to talk, find common ground, find a solution. They don't make the solution for you. You do, but they help you. You know, their motto is you can solve it, we can help. And so, you know, in the emotions here, I think there's been a lot said.
Not
But
much,
if
just
we
that
can
can't
get that
afford to
emotion
keep going to
down.
court for something where we just want left alone, like.
Well,
we
but
feel
also
at
you
risk.
got, I think there's a valid reason here why she's in your driveway honking the horn to get your attention.
More than
So-
however many times she says.
And I'm
my
not
dog said
arguing
no.
about it. What I'm saying is they're two big dogs she's afraid of. And
that's not
they're
when she's
on the
coming over.
loose. Well, that's what I'm finding. So
And reaching
I
out to our
hope that
employers and everything.
instead of
It's-
arguing
that
with
is
me,
harmful.
find a way to talk to your neighbor. Find a way to talk to your neighbor. Don't argue with me. You've got to deal with each of your animals. You got to deal with each other. You both want to stay where you are. Sounds like nice places. So find a way to talk to your neighbor, to find some even ground. You don't have to enjoy each other's company, but let's get beyond this. And so a good, as I've said, dispute resolution center is a really good outfit to help folks talk who feel like they can't talk anymore. You may be very surprised. They do work in this court every week, helping people settle disputes and small claims. And it's amazing what they're able to do. Truly amazing. And so I really recommend you'll both be happier, and you want to be happier where you live. And you want the dogs happy, and you don't want anyone afraid of your dogs other than, you know, burglars. But you don't want your neighbors afraid of using the area and using their property, and you don't want your dogs, anybody's dogs, to be endangered by another dog. If the corgi's gonna, I mean, corgis may be small, but they're scrappy. So
Yes.
I don't want anybody's dogs to get hurt. But that's where we are. It's the issue is trying to communicate about these dogs. It's not harassment. So
She can reach out to an employer all she wants.
all of you can talk, I hope.
Okay, Your
You don't
Honor.
have to talk to each other, but then you never get anywhere. So that's it for today. I hope you find a way, and that's one avenue is Dispute Resolution Center. You can contact them and see if there's something they can help you with. But
I'm more
that's it for
I'm more
today.
than willing for that, Your Honor, because this for
All
the
right.
sake of all the animals.
There you go. So you got at least one opening there, maybe. And you can be on your way, and I just wish you good
Thank you.
luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So long. All right, so we're now down to Ms. Torres and the two requests for protection orders that you filed, and I'm going to take up first 25-59. So first off, Ms. Torres, let me put you under oath. So raise your right hand with me. And you don't have to stand up, Ms. Torres, because given Zoom, I can't see your face. And
Sorry.
just thanks. So Ms. Torres, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. And then I do have Ms. Spear. I'm going to put you under oath, but I got you. You need to unmute. Raise your right hand, Ms. Spear. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. So first I'm going to take up Ms. Torres, your request against Elizabeth Van Tiem. She's not present. And again, before I get going, I should make it clear to both parties here that I'm looking here, I'm looking there, I'm looking up here. I've got surfaces here that have my electronic court files and all that information. And so, did you forget something? Ooh, look around, feel free. There you go. And I want you to know I'm listening to you, but I'm looking at what was filed and all the information, but I am listening just so you know why I'm looking all over the place. Let me get that information open though here before we get going here. So first taking up the request for an order against Elizabeth Van Tiem, which there was a temporary order issued under case 2559. Ms. Torres, were you able to serve notice of today's hearing on Ms. Van Tiem?
I had handed this notice to be served to her to the Thurston County Sheriffs. They had gone up there. They received a hostile mail, and then they weren't able to serve on her because they couldn't find her, and they were gonna try again, but then a hostile mail had called the Thurston County Sheriff's Office. going off on him. So at this point, I'm not sure what to do, and nobody feels safe going up there.
So, all right, so you haven't been able to serve notice, so doesn't have notice of today's hearing. So it's up to you what you want to do. So either the order ends today and we don't go forward, or I set another court date, the order stays in effect, and you attempt further service so we can have a full hearing. What do you want to do?
I think I would like to continue with another court date and still continue to try to have her served in the most safest means possible.
All
Because
right,
I'm not trying to get
so
anybody hurt.
we're going to talk about a new court date, and I'm looking at I think the 31st of March. The next time, are you available then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so March 31 starts at 9 o'clock. Expect to be here for the day. Just make a note here. All right, it's March 31st, 9 o'clock. We'll be back, and that gives you that time. And we will re-email you the service packet. Sorry. And then you can take it from there. And then let me move on then to Ms. Spear. Let me get that case open and we can hear from both parties. 2560 is what we're taking up now. Ms. Torres's request for an order against Ms. Spear. There has not been a temporary order issued in this matter, and I do see. So, Ms. Spear, it looks like you did on March 4th. Just last week you received, did you get notice of this hearing? You got the petition, all the things that Ms. Torres is saying? You got all that, it looks like, last week?
Yes.
Okay. And so first off, Ms. Torres, are you prepared to present in this hearing today to go forward?
I am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Ms. Spear, you're ready to go forward today?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, let me just reevaluate. As I've had lots of hearings, I've reviewed all of this last week, but I always like to re-review so I remember exactly and remind myself of the questions I may have. Why don't you tell me what it is that you want this order against Ms. Spear, and you have to establish unlawful harassment committed by Ms. Spear against you. You can detail that out for me.
Well, I met her about 6 years ago, but anytime that there has been a conflict, there has been, like, if we're at a public place or an event, I've had like several people come up to me and tell me that she wanted to harm me, have me my butt kicked. There's one point, and every time she's come up to me and said several times that she wanted to kick my butt, but she didn't want to go to jail. And
let's talk timeframes more recently. Obviously, a more recent event occurred that caused you to come to court on around February 26th. It's kind of started all this. And I did read the report, or not report, but all of the information you filed on the other case, and they're kind of intertwined. But tell me.
Well, they are friends. I fear retaliation even since the order. She was not involved in the physical altercation, but it was at her house. She did not get up to restrain her friend or to assist me to get help. They told me not to call the police. They did not call the police. They just sat there and watched this all happen. Her and her friend. I don't know the friend's name. He goes by a different name. That's not his legal name. But I mean, I don't feel safe around her. She is also my supervisor at work. So she's in a position of power to retaliate against me. And I mean, regardless of how this turns out, I'm keeping my distance away from all of that. But I don't feel safe. And I've had
So
several
tell me about what
incidents.
happened that night when you were assaulted by, you're asserting by Ms. Antium. Tell me kind of step by step.
Well, I was like, Michelle had invited me to her house, and another friend of mine, she told me not to go, that she just had a bad vibe, but I didn't listen. And so I go to their house, and I had just made a drink, and I come out the kitchen, and her friend had raised up against me and started punching me to the ground. I just had knee surgery 2 weeks prior to that, so I was trying to protect my knee. It hurt when I had hurt initially injured my knee. I didn't want to go through that again. I was trying to do what I could. I got to the ground, but I was still being punched several times.
And then while that was going on, you're asserting what?
While that was going on, I did call 911 and my phone was knocked out of my hands by Miss Van Team, and they were telling me not to call the police. I had no choice. I couldn't get the woman off of me. No one was trying to get the woman off of me. So I mean,
You're asserting Ms. Spear, though, that Ms. Spear did not intervene and she should have.
not in any way, no.
And then, so you are able to call 911, and then what happens next?
They knocked the phone out of my hands.
And then?
And I was still being punched. When I was able to get free, I grabbed my phone, grabbed my purse, and ran out the front door to the nearest stop sign because I don't know my way around that area. And then I called the police again.
All right.
Because my phone call was disrupted.
Okay. What, bad connection, or it was disrupted?
They knocked my phone out of my hand. And
I know, but you left the residence and you called 911, and then what happened?
They came, and I was already outside, so I didn't need their assistance, but.
Okay. So then what did you do after you talked to the sheriff or whoever it was that responded?
My roommate came and got me, and I came home.
Okay. All right. At some point did you go receive treatment or something, or?
I went about I want to say about 8 hours later, the same day, to St. Pete's.
Right. And then since that time, and that was sometime around February, third week in February, right? You filed this on Wednesday, February 26th. So that happened.
I believe it happened the 22nd.
Okay. All right. So then, since that occurred, anything else with Ms. Spear?
No, there's not been no communication between us at all.
Okay. So you say that she supervises you at work. Have you not been to work, or what's going on there?
I'm still out on L&I. I'm still healing from knee surgery now.
Okay.
I will, I'm supposed to be released at the end of the month, but I don't know for sure if that's going to happen just yet.
Okay. And have you talked with higher ups about this order, and you're asking that your supervising person not have contact with you? Have you talked to?
I have contacted our HR. They told me to let them know how this case goes, but regardless if this goes through or not, I will be moving on to a different company. I don't feel that we can work together after something like this has happened.
So before this February 22nd event, can you tell me anything about your relationship with Ms. Spear and what I should consider?
It's usually gone pretty friendly, but sometimes misunderstandings happen amongst friends sometimes, and things go back and forth, or they just may disagree with my actions or their actions. This is the last step I ever thought I would ever have to take with Ms. Spears.
So in the 6 years you've known her, has she been your supervisor the whole time?
No, just with the last year.
Okay, so
we're
known
in
for 6 years.
Yeah.
And then, so in that time, anything of this nature or anything else I should know about in that 6 years about your relationship with Ms. Spear? Anything that would add to your petition, or my understanding?
Just one other incident where, we were at a gathering. It's in there. At least I hope I put it in there. Is we were at a party that all of us were at, and I stayed away from them, and they had mostly stayed away from me. But then we've got people coming up that they're gonna jump you, and when I go to leave, she comes up and talks to me and literally told me she wanted to kick my butt, but she didn't want to go to jail. My roommate Alex Bedford heard this and saw this, and that's the first time that Elizabeth tried to assault me then too, and somebody had intervened.
So what occurred in your understanding? Why did all of a sudden Ms. Spear come to you and say that she wants to harm you? What was going on there?
I decided that prior to that I did, that I didn't want to be friends with her at that point.
So, and where did this and when did this occur? I'm remembering this, but
That incident was about a year and a half ago, almost maybe 2 years ago.
okay, so maybe 2023.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And where were you?
We
At a
were
bar?
in Rochester. It wasn't a bar. It was just a public gathering.
Okay. So someone's house or?
No, it was at an event place.
Okay. So there's a gathering.
Yeah.
And so how is it? So then at this gathering, you went to Ms. Spear and said, I don't want to be friends with you.
No, before that.
Before that gathering. All right. So
I mean,
tell me about that and how it transpired that now she's at that gathering telling you that she wants to harm you. Tell me kind of step by step what happened.
we were just all at the gathering, and me and my roommates stayed with each other, and we mostly stayed apart. And then when we go to leave after hearing, like, I had more than one person come up to me, tell me that her, Miss Van Team, and another woman named Debbie Ferrer were gonna have me jumped before I leave. So I asked my roommate if we could leave because this is, that's not what I want to happen. That's not what I came out for. And as I'm going to leave, she comes to address me and say, like, tell me that I belittle people, that I'm mean to people, and that she wanted to kick my butt, but she didn't want to go to jail.
All right. And so this was a couple years back. So, hmm. And anything else about those previous 3 or 4 years? I mean, it out of the blue, all of a sudden, you're telling me this person wants to.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's mostly gone extremely peaceful. So this is what shocked and hurt me the most about the event that happened on February 22nd. I never would have expected this out of her. And I don't want to take these steps against somebody, but I have to be here for my children and my grandchildren. I have a life outside of all these people that people count on me. And I want to be there. I don't want to be involved in fights. I don't want to be assaulted. I would like to live my life.
Can you help me understand, though, your understanding, your perspective on this? Why in 2023 did this assertion that Ms. Spear wants to harm you? Why? Or is it a complete mystery to you? Or what is it? Why are you?
To me, it is a complete mystery, but she may have a reason.
Okay.
That I am not aware of. But
I'm going to turn to Ms. Spear, and I'm wondering, what do you think I'm going to hear from her perspective?
I really don't know, because from like other people, I believe that me and her were friends, but then they're telling me that she thinks that I'm brain dead, that I do this, that I do that. So I don't know what you're going to hear, because she's one person to me in my face, and she's totally different when I'm not around.
So these are things you heard from others, but not from her.
No, ma'am.
Okay. And have you ever had a discussion with Ms. Spear before all this happened about a
I
friendship?
have tried, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings, and I never got a straight answer, or it gets deflected.
Okay.
You know, I don't even want to be going through this with her because I think she is a good person, but maybe we just don't make good friends.
Okay.
But now that she's in my supervisor in a position that I mean, she could be upset about this, and if we have to go to work like tomorrow together, she could choose not to work me. And I mean, this is a terrible situation that has happened because she's in a place of where she's friends with the other person. I'm just a newcomer, so I'm expendable. And that's fine, but I just want to be safe from all
So
parties that are involved.
Does Miss Van Tiem also work with you all?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you said you're the new person. What does that mean?
They've known each other for years. I just met them 6 to 5 years ago. They've known
Okay.
each other for decades.
Okay. Great. All right. Ms. Torres, anything else before I hear from Ms. Spear?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so Michelle Spear,
Yes.
there's this temporary order in effect. I'm sorry, there is no temporary order in effect, but there's a request that this court do that. And you've had a chance to review all that and hear today from Ms. Torres. So what should I know from you? I would presume you don't want me to issue this order. So what should I know?
Well, no, I've known Misty for about 6 years. And during this time, we've been friends. We've done events together. I've had her kids and her at my house for dinners. She's came to my home for holidays. I've never once ever threatened Misty at all. I've actually been her friend when nobody's wanted to be around Misty because she's kind of a hard person to get along. She has a different personality that people don't understand. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Well, can you tell me about this February 22nd allegation?
Okay, so I had took my sister out to go do karaoke across at Emperor's Palace, and it was getting kind of late. It was like 11 something, and we're coming back. Me, Sarah, Elizabeth, and my friend Frank. We're coming back to the house. Elizabeth wanted to
So is
stop
Elizabeth
by.
your sister?
No, Sarah Monier
Oh,
is my
okay.
sister.
Okay, got it. All right, go ahead.
And we stopped by the sampan, and my sister wanted to sing some more, which is fine. And Misty was there, and I said hi to her, gave her a hug. We were talking. Then her and Elizabeth were outside in the smoking area, talking about their issues that they had, and I thought everything was fine. It was closer to about 1:15, somewhere around there, and there had been a fight that broke out at the sampan with other people. And I told them I want to go. I don't like to be around stuff like that. And there was somebody out in the parking lot of the sampan shooting a gun in the air. Well, I got kind of freaked out because my sister, I take care of her, and I wanted to leave. Missy said she had to wait for a Uber or for someone to come and get her. I said, just, get in our car, go with us, have them come pick us up. I don't want you standing out here, who knows what's going to happen. We get to the house. I'm on the phone calling to check on my other friend to make sure she got out of there. And then her and Miss Elizabeth and Misty were fighting. So me, Sarah, and Frank tried to break it up. I had scratches on me from trying to break up their fight. My sister got hurt. She had bruises on her arm. And remind you, my sister has a learning disability and has breast cancer. I
So
never told Miss we're
okay,
trying to
so
break up.
Ms.
break.
Torres is saying that nobody helped and she was just getting beaten, but you're saying that you and another person and your sister tried to do what? What did you try to do to help?
Pull them apart. Pull her out.
Okay,
Elizabeth.
so what part of that were you? What were you doing?
I was over the top of Misty. I got hit a couple times from Elizabeth when she hit her.
Okay, so you were over the top of Misty, did you say?
Like leaning over, trying to push Elizabeth back.
Okay.
trying to push her off of her. Misty had
All right.
fell. She had fell back too and hit the chair, and then she got up, and we had to grab Elizabeth off of Misty, and then Misty took off outside. And my sister's
Okay,
here if you'd like to talk to her also.
So you were successful in getting Elizabeth restrained?
Yeah, the cops, we did.
And what about the cops? What happened?
They did come in, and we did a report, and we told them what happened. And Misty went outside. She did go outside and wait for them.
All right. When the cops came, who was there?
All of us.
What's all of us mean? Who?
Me, myself, Misty, my sister Sarah Monier, Elizabeth Vantine, and Frank Noblock.
Okay. So then the cops come and everybody had an opportunity to talk with them and tell them what happened.
Right. And I asked them why Elizabeth wasn't going to go to jail, because I felt that it was wrong. You know, both of them fighting in my house. I thought it was disrespectful to us and embarrassing. I'm upset with both of them for doing that in my home. And I asked the cop why Elizabeth wasn't going to jail, and he had said because Misty wasn't pressing charges.
Okay. Oh, that's a good. All right. So the police come, everybody talks to them, and then nobody's arrested or taken away, but Misty leaves, or she was back with the police, you're saying?
No, she was outside with the police, and she left with Alex.
And left after. All right. So didn't come back into your house.
No.
Okay.
And Elizabeth left also with her daughter. Her daughter come to pick her up.
Since that event, anything concerning Ms. Torres and you that I should know about from your perspective?
A couple hours after that, I got a text message from Ms. Torres calling me a bad word for letting that happen.
Okay.
And I wrote it on my statement.
Okay. Yep.
And I tried to call her a few times to see if she was okay. And no respond, nothing.
Calling mean like sending a text or a phone call or what?
No, a phone call. I even left her a message. Call me to let me know you're okay.
Okay. And so you say that you called the next day, or you got a text or a phone call?
I got a text from her, but I had tried to call her to see if she was okay.
Okay. And then a couple of phone calls with messages and no response after that. And then anything since then and now?
No, nothing.
Okay. Now, you're a supervisor of Ms. Torres now for the last year, is that so?
I was, but because of her accident, there's also she claimed that she got hurt at work, and she hasn't been working, so we let her go. We're union workers. We work for 252 union laborers, and it's only part-time that they work for the season. So with her being hurt, she's not coming back for this season. She'll have to heal and go back on the list for the union to get another job.
So, going way back a couple years, we've heard from Ms. Torres that a couple years ago, you were at a gathering in Rochester and you had.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about her perspective on that? What's your perspective on that?
Her and Elizabeth had altercations, and she had altercations with a lot of people. And this is where I talk about being Missy's friend and being there for her when
tell me about this event. Tell me about that event that she talked about. What's your perspective on that event?
Okay, that was a Halloween party that we went to, and that was at a UMF clubhouse that we went. And she had gotten into it. I was not around the area. They were in the back of the building. Her and Elizabeth got in an argument, and I'm not really too certain what that argument was about. And then when she came around the corner, I told her, I said, well, maybe you should apologize to people instead of acting the way that you act sometimes, Misty. But I never threatened her. I did talk to her about her behavior because Misty can be kind of a hard person sometimes. She's she can be nice one minute and the next minute she's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You don't know what to expect sometimes when she's drinking.
So why would you think that in that episode that Ms. Torres would interpret that you had said something to the effect of kicking her ass or kicking her butt? Why do you think that would have been heard? Do you have any sense of what you
I think
said?
that's because I'm friends with them. I'm friends with all of them. I don't, I know a lot of people, and I think it's just because I was friends with them. I mean, at the moment, I'm not even talking with Elizabeth because of all this. I just feel it's ridiculous, and it's not right. All of it, it's not right. And as far as Missy, I never threatened her. I mean, I had concerns of her, I'm not a counselor, but Misty needs some counseling, and I told her that sometimes she can be nice. Other times she's lost with herself and she needs some help with that, but she takes it out on others.
So you think you've known each other for 6 years. So anything previous to what we talked about, that gathering at Rochester, any other issues, any other occasions that you and Ms. Torres have had an argument or anything that I should know about?
No, we hung out as friends. We've done other events. She was just at my house just the other day before that and brought me and my daughter and my sister earrings and jewelry that she had made for Christmas and wasn't able to give it to us because we had just moved back to town. So she came over to my house and brought us that. And before that,
Sometime in early after Christmas, sometime before the February 22nd event.
a couple days before the 20.
Okay.
Just recently, yeah. Her and her daughter came to my home.
Okay. All right. So anything else, Ms. Spear?
No, I just don't feel that I need a protection order. I'm not here to harm Misty.
Well,
never
you're
have.
not the one who's asking for it. Ms. Torres is asking for a protection order against you. So
I
that's
know.
why, yeah. So anything about that request by Ms. Torres is what we're dealing with today. Anything more from you?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right. All right. Let me just kind of look through. You just filed a couple of things here, and I've read them before now, but I just want to look through again, see if I have any other questions. So give me a moment.
Yep.
All right. So Ms. Torres, Ms. Spear, I am not issuing an order against Ms. Spear. There is not sufficient evidence to show that she has committed unlawful harassment against you in all the information that was filed before the court and all the discussion we've had today. So Ms. Torres, you'll make a decision about who you have spent time with, and certainly Ms. Spear, but there will not be an order of protection for you from Ms. Spear. And we will be back, I think 31st of March for that next hearing, Ms. Torres, when we take up the temporary order that was issued on your behalf against Ms. Ventium.
Okay.
All right. So Ms. Spear, that's all for today. You can be on your way, Ms. Torres as well. That's it. So Ms. Torres, we'll take up your matter. Ms. Ventium has not appeared. Elizabeth Ventium's not in the courtroom. She's not on Zoom. And this is case number 2559. Let me get my documents up here from the court file. And I can turn back to you 1 second here. It looks like what we received from the sheriff is they were not able to serve to determine that they served Elizabeth Van Tiem with notice of today's hearing. So, was there anything after, let me look at the date on this, March 10th, that you were able to perfect service?
On March 10th, well, I heard from the Thurston County Sheriff that he did serve her at her job. He was supposed to drop off the return of service
Okay.
to you guys. I don't know if that's happened.
I don't have that, so you're going to need to provide that to the court. Do you have that? Can you get that?
I will have to go to the court later today to get it because I thought it
Well,
was
today's
turned
the
in.
hearing, and so I'd like to give you a chance to show us that service. The last we had from the sheriff is March 10th saying that they were unable to serve her at home. You're saying that service was had at work. So if you can get that together this morning and get into the court in the next hour, then maybe we can do something about this.
I can try my best to make that happen. Yes.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do here is, can you put in the chat your email? Yeah. So my clerk is going to put into the chat function her email in the courtroom here. When you get that document from the sheriff, get it emailed directly to that email address to my clerk, and then we'll look for that and see if that service is sufficient. And if so, then maybe we can go forward together on a default order. I'm not sure yet, but work on that and I'll look forward after 10 o'clock.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. And Ms. Torres, I see you're back.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to get that information to my clerk?
I believe so. I emailed it over and the sheriff faxed it over.
All right, great. Let me look at that. Aha, there it is. Okay. All right. So I do find that you were able to perfect. Do you have the file? Thanks. I do see that you were able to perfect service, personal service on Miss Van Tiem. She's not present. I can make a finding that she knew of this hearing and decided not to be here at her disadvantage. And I do see from what you filed with the court that you've been subject to an assault by Miss Van Tiem and subjected to unlawful harassment. So you're asking the court to continue this order, that temporary order, into an order today by default?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. What I'm going to do is make an order that mirrors the temporary order that was issued. So just give me a moment to do that. And then this order will be in the court file. Do we email it to them? Yeah, we'll email you a copy of this order since we. All right, so Ms. Van Tiem, Ms. Torres, this order against Ms. Van Tiem is in effect till March 31st of 2026. If you feel the need for the court to consider having this order go longer than that, then we need to have another hearing. And you can apply to this court anytime within 3 months of this expiration to have that hearing and to determine if that order should be longer. That's it for today. And again, we'll email you a copy of that order.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So long.